everyone. Welcome. Now I'm trying to remember the name of the episode. The something borrowed,
Ooh,
something green, right? That's the
something borrowed,
yeah.
something green.
We're here to discuss the latest episode of Lower Decks. If you'd like to introduce yourself real quick, Braxton.
Hey, I'm Braxton. So I did change my handle back to the X handle from the Blue Sky because I just haven't really been on Blue Sky. I'm still on X, even though I said I was quitting, but I'm still here. So hi,
I
Rachel.
is that not everyone? Wondering like, how am I still here? Um, Hi. I just have the same handle everywhere, so doesn't matter. It's find me there. I swear to God, one day, someone's gonna like steal that handle. I'm gonna be really sad. Yeah, I kind of tried to throw together a very last minute closet cosplay of Tendi's outfit for most of this episode. It's really hard to tell because my mic's in the way, but I'm like in a crop top and got a jacket and green lipstick and eyeshadow that you can't see because I'm wearing glasses. So
So you just had green lipstick on hand?
yes, I
Okay.
had it from Halloween last year where I was doing a witch thing.
Mm, mm, mm.
But it's more. It's not even really lipstick. It's called like green. I have it sitting here because I'm sure it's gonna rub off. Um, what is it actually called? Green multi stick. So it's supposed to put everywhere on your face. But I feel like once you put it on your lips, you can't really put it anywhere else in your body.
You said
Like,
it's called green multi stick.
yeah, just a multi stick. Like I don't know, make yourself
Huh.
green wherever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. It's like maybe actually right now with Halloween stuff, maybe I'd be able to find like a green lip stuff, but
Mm,
it is
mm,
often not the easiest.
mm, mm.
Yeah, very quick effort, and now I'm like, oh no, if I ever actually want to do this cosplay though, it seems like it'd be really easy until you have to like, oh no, I have to paint myself green.
Well, I love the look. I think that you're totally
Thank
rocking it.
you. Yeah, I don't know if the pink glasses go with it. I don't have green glasses though. So, um, so what did you think of this episode? I guess that's the start.
So I did not like this episode. So sometimes when I think of Lower Decks, I think, well, okay, was it fun or wasn't it? Um, and I just don't think that this was fun at all. I should tell you that I do not enjoy a story about the woman who has absolutely everything. Like boring, not interested. I really like Tendi. I like the assassin side of her when she does the action. But I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. I just thought that her story of kind of like being like this like wealthy, well-connected woman that everyone was bowing down to. That was really boring. I didn't really like that. I didn't even think it
Agreed.
was funny when Mariner got repeatedly stabbed in like different like sides of her shoulders. Like I don't know. I just didn't really enjoy this episode.
See, I did find it fun. I thought it was like interesting being seeing the like I thought it was like very much it's like, oh, it's not your past that defines you, it's like who you choose to be is like how I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I liked seeing like Tendi with her sister a lot. And also I just loved the three of them like girl trip. I don't know. I found that very relatable of just like the
Girl
random stuff that
trip.
happens when it's just like a bunch of like women around the same age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Talin is really good.
yes, I to Lynn is like I was like, oh, I need her forever. I need her to stay and become like a main cast member.
Yeah, Talin is
Um,
really good.
yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of hearing my voice coming back
I don't hear
from
the
here.
feedback.
I don't like maybe I'm if I do not know if everyone can hear that. Let me know. So yeah, I found this episode really. Yeah, I did find it really fun. I thought it was fun to finally see a little of what actually goes on Orion. And I did really enjoy. I kind of enjoyed like the girl's got a fun little story and the guy's got a fun little story. Like,
I don't know. Like when it comes to the details in Star Trek's world and Lower Decks, like I don't like. I'm not gonna hold any serious Star Trek show to what Lower Decks has shown us about
mm-hmm.
its people. You know, like I said, like I look at Lower Decks as being, is it fun or is it not?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like I feel like I was about 10 minutes in, and I was like, oh, like I don't know how this episode is landing for me because, like I said, I don't enjoy a
Mm-hmm.
story about a woman who's everything. Um, and then like I don't know, like Mariner got stabbed in the shoulder like a second time, and I was like, oh, okay, well, like I'm supposed to think this is funny, but I don't know, maybe they just lost me like in the beginning, and I'm just not gonna come back.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't mind the woman who has everything. I feel like it's such a common trope for like the James Bond effect, where it's like the guy who can do everything. That I find it a little refreshing when it's the woman who's doing it.
hmm, hmm, hmm. I had forgot about the Mark Twains and the Beethovens. Were those Beethovens the guys playing the piano at the end?
I thought they were they Beethoven or were they Mozart? That's actually I'm not positive now.
See, I don't. It's yeah, one of those guys. Yeah.
Hmm. I don't know whose accent they were trying to do at the end. The Mark Twain had a very specific accent, and then I was like, I don't. If that's supposed to be Mozart, isn't he Austrian? Like, to be fair, it's not. I don't think they also don't know. Apparently, it's Mozart. So yes, I think they should fit out. The problem with doing a funny Austrian accent is it's hard to not come off as Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So Mozart is Austrian?
Yeah, he is, right?
Oh, I don't know.
I um as I'm googling Mozart real quick, and it autofills to Mozart's, which is a coffee shop around here. Um, um,
Birthplace. Yes, you're right. Austria.
yeah,
Salzburg, Austria.
yes. What? Yeah, what is now considered Austria is how
Mm.
it's putting it. But
Mm.
I, my yes, I am part Austrian, so I was like, I will know all the famous. Like my grandfather spoke with an Austrian accent. Austrian.
Oh, your grandfather spoke with an Austrian
Yeah.
accent?
Well, because my mom's side, my grandpa was born in Austria, and my grandma was born in Germany.
Do
Yeah.
like does he sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Not exactly. He left when he was pretty young. My for the context, my that side of my family's Jewish.
Hmm.
They left for very specific reasons,
Hmm.
and he traveled a lot because uh, he spent World War II in China, dying from like persecution, and then in Israel and then the United States. So we had a very like interesting combination that started
Hmm.
Austrian,
Hmm.
and his
Hmm.
voice is a lot like a little bit of a mumbler, like my
Hmm.
grandfather.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, um, that is, I'll be honest, Joel. I'll take your word for that because I'm not a horror buff.
Doug won't.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, I also thought it was fun. Yeah, fun finally getting to see some of like Tendi's like family. Especially because I don't know that we've ever seen like an Orion family before in any kind of Star Trek.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
remember seeing an Orion family
Yeah.
before either.
Um, I thought it was like her dad had like a pretty generic name, but like with a little pause to make it a little more Orion. I thought that was like a fun little joke. Um, what?
Oh,
Mhm.
the ray that destroyed those young ladies on that
Yeah.
ship, dude.
Hmm.
Like, and so the thing is like this episode told me that maybe the ray that disintegrates, the ship and the people is possibly painful because I feel like that
Mm-hmm.
young lady screamed and it sounded like she was in so much pain as like she was being like as her molecules were being dispersed.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that thing looks painful.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
I thought it was interesting. We finally got like a hit in the main, in like from like the main cast, where they're like, people know this is happening. They just don't know what's happening
What kind of aliens do you think they were? Like
on
the
the
young
ship.
women on the bridge, yeah.
I thought they were Orions, right?
No, they weren't Orions. Cause like there was like what were they? There was like some Romulans, and then like
Oh, I guess
what?
there were other, because some of them were Orion, right? Because that's why Freeman comes and says like we're like the we're trying to like show good relations because like an Orion like ship just disappeared.
Mm, mm, mm. Oh, they were Orions. Oh wow! Like
Yeah,
I didn't think that they were green. Mm, okay,
I
okay.
was like, I think they were green. That's in my head. They're green, and I'm like, did I just make that up in my brain? I just
Mm.
made them green. Like,
Maybe colorblind. This is said that I feel like
yeah,
I didn't notice they were green, but they were pirates. It makes sense that they
mm-hmm.
were Orions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was part of the reason why, yeah, Freeman's like, so like, go have time off, it because it will like be a show of good faith to the Orions who were like, why did our people disappear?
I mean, it's been a few weeks since we've seen like the white ship with like the
Yeah,
super
it's
intense
been.
ray, isn't it?
I think it's been. I maybe it's only been one episode, but it was
Mm.
in like the first two, and then not last week, and then it
I feel
was.
like they're really like drip feeding it. Like I feel like they need to give us more.
Hi, is that your Mark Twain hat?
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Dude, I love your Mark Twain hat, dude.
I love that we both decided to watch this episode and be like, I'm gonna try to do a thing.
So this is not an appropriate hat for this this time period, but it's the closest thing I had.
Hi,
Hello, how are
RC.
you?
RC. We didn't tell you that we both were like, oh, we're gonna try to do cosplays right now.
No, I was not informed of that.
Yeah,
Dude, you
I
should
think
have
it's
I did
funny.
not bring a Mark Twain outfit.
you should have texted us, dude,
Yeah.
so we knew.
I didn't tell anyone about it because I decided at the last second. I was like, I've got like a black crop top and a black jacket. I can make that work.
Sufficient.
I don't. Is this the first time we're streaming, RC? Nice to meet you on screen. I don't know. Sometimes I forget. I apologize. for
I've
streaming
been on a
before.
couple times, but I was say I don't know if we've ever
I
been
think
before.
the streams haven't crossed yet. Is kind of
Ah, now they have.
Yeah.
Hi.
RC is one of my co-hosts on the actual Play podcast I'm on.
I knew that
The
because I've
one
seen
who-
you before on this, and
Yeah.
and I think
Oh,
there
okay.
too. But I just
Yeah.
didn't know if we'd streamed before. I just couldn't remember. I have my opening statement ready, Rachel.
Yeah, go ahead.
I will deliver it in my really terrible Mark Twain accent here. Let me tell you, this latest escapade of Lower Decks has tickled my funny bone more than the last, and I've laid eyes upon it more times than a cat has lives. Now, as far as, as the Samuel Clemens Mark Twain stuff, if y'all segment, it sets me to hooting and hollering each time, though I can't rightly say why. But let's not get lost in the jests and japes. What truly captivates me about this episode is its sojourn into the lives of the Orion folk. Star Trek has long been enamored with Romulans and Klingons and our own human selves. But now we're expanding our horizons, digging deeper into the lives of them Orions we've glimpsed in times past. It's a curious thing, Tendi's embarrassment about her Orion heritage. To my mind, like Mariner and T'Lyn, them Orions are a fine lot. I reckon they'd be a sight to see more of them in future tales, not just the scoundrels like those in the Emerald Chain. Now, speaking of discovery, I found it right interesting that the Orions, being the skilled warriors they are, have even set foot on the Klingon home world. But I digress. We'll delve into this matter more thoroughly in our upcoming parlay. I'll just say this episode is one for the annals. And I'll heed Mark McMahon's counsel to revisit it each year on the 21st of September. All right, that's it.
That was
What a
fantastic.
beautiful performance. I loved it.
I think my favorite part was saying Mike McMahon's name and Mark.
I hope he doesn't get mad.
I feel like Mike McMahon would find that fucking hilarious.
I always think that Mark Twain, when I see him, is the Colonel from KFC at first. Like I was like, oh, is that the Colonel?
Yeah,
and then
that's
like
fair. Especially how Star Trek portrays Mark Twain.
That's not how he really was. You
I
got proof otherwise?
I don't have proof. I don't think there's footage of Mark Twain. Like,
I'll say it's possible that there is like an audio recording of him, but it's
Possible?
unlikely.
I'm pretty sure there is, because there's
Oh.
photographs of him when he's young too, right? I think there might be. He might have made it
There's,
into,
like-
and there's a
I
video,
feel
right?
like
Like
Mark
not a video,
Twain is
sorry,
from,
a
like
film.
that time where we're like, there's no recordings, and then there totally are. We just don't know.
There are
anything.
recordings.
I mean, yeah, he was alive till 1910, so it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
a definite
I mean,
possibility.
there are pictures of Abraham Lincoln. Is my like.
I think there's
that's-
technically a recording of the Gettysburg Address, but I think it's like awful quality and you can barely understand anything they're
Yeah.
saying. Oh, I also forget. Sorry, I just put on his Wikipedia. I forgot that he knew Nikola Tesla.
Oh.
Bizarre. That's
Who, what famous musician could have played Mark Twain then if Bowie played Tesla? Because Bowie played Tesla in that one.
Oh
movie.
yeah, in the Prestige.
That's right.
Could have played Mark Twain.
okay. You said my mind, because I didn't go, but because Tenacious D just played in Austin, my mind went Jack Black.
Nice. Yes.
Honestly, that's a good choice.
Like, I
He's done period piece movies before.
I also feel like with Mark Twain here, I should like hide the Jane Austen collection because Mark Twain did not like Jane Austen.
No one said the guy had all the right opinions.
I will say I would have to look it up. His quote about Pride and Prejudice, I'm like, I'm mad because it's kind of sexist, but it is fucking witty because it's so Mark Twain saying it, kind of thing.
And he probably said it exactly like what we just heard. So
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I gotta switch out of this hat.
That is fair. Eventually, I probably gotta take this like faux leather jacket off. And RC, what did you think of the episode?
I thought it was awesome. Yeah, I watched it this morning. I haven't had opportunities. I almost never have an opportunity for a second viewing before I get to join into these. But yeah, I really liked it. I'd always gotten the implication that Tendi had like something like that there was like a big deal going on in her background.
Yeah, well,
but
they definitely had like someone had referred to her as something where Meredith was like, "Wait, what, girl?" Like,
yeah, like what season was that? Do you remember? Was that last season? Because I wonder like how many of the seeds were planted early on.
it's either season 2 or 3. Maybe it's 2. The episode where like Mariner and Tendi have their own little aside, and at one point they paint Mariner green.
That was a good
Okay.
episode.
Yeah.
I don't remember when that was.
I just can't remember if that's season 2 or 3. Because I do remember, because they only mentioned her first name once, and Meredith has a good thing. She's like, "Who's Devana?" She's like, "That's my first name."
I do remember that. Yeah, the only other thing I would say is like the Twain and stuff with Boimler and Rutherford. Like I laughed at it, but it just compare stakes wise, it was definitely the B story. It just didn't feel very consequential. Like I was trying to figure out like what is this moving forward about their characters for the season. And I didn't really feel like, and not that every episode has to always do it.
Their conflict resolution skills.
If that comes for some kind of payoff towards like the latter half of the season, I'll eat my hat about it.
What is their next conflict going to be about now that the bonsai tree has been eaten?
Poor tree.
Like I feel like they have.
I
To
love that it was
find
right after
something
they
else
said
that
it was
they're
like their
gonna
son.
Yeah, I was like, oh no.
I also really want to know, and I don't know if y'all already touched. I want to know what this little ship going around and blowing up all the other ships is.
A little bit. I need to know like right now. You know what? That's fair, Joel. They
Oh,
killed
absolutely
They killed
sitcom
that
like.
tree. Like, yeah, I found it fun. I didn't mind that their story was so like obviously like a little more low stakes because the other story felt so high stakes
That's fair.
for lower decks at least.
Like I guess for their story, it felt like zero stakes. Like the closest
Yeah.
it came to having stakes was when they dressed up the the other captain for the negotiation, which it was the first time I could think of all the people that say like Lower Decks doesn't take Star Trek seriously. I was like, all right, maybe they're right just this once.
Dude, was that a Nausicaan? What alien was that?
I did not know. I was
I'm
wondering
not
that too because
sure.
I think they said it once.
They named him. I didn't have time to take notes, but it was like with a C, like a crustacean
Yeah,
or a
like I almost
crustacean,
was
like something like that.
I
Yeah.
almost was like, is he new? Like, is this a
Right.
new
Has
thing?
it appeared in live action
Yeah.
before? Has that species? Yeah.
This
Jill
is-
says Calnoth. I think that might be
maybe
it.
Jill. I did have subtitles, but I was also the second time I was watching the episode, I was also grabbing stuff for this. So like, I wasn't reading the subtitles as closely as like maybe I would have liked.
Oh, the species from Allegiance?
I
I
What is
wonder.
Allegiance? A game?
Oh.
I
A
need
book?
someone to remind me what episode Allegiance is.
Isn't that the one where
Allegiance is
Picard?
You
Go ahead.
No.
Is it the one
I
where he
would-
gets like trapped in that room with all the other and there's
I'm
that
fairly
one
certain
yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah,
him and a Starfleet ensign, and I think one of those types of
One
aliens,
those
and
dudes. Yes,
some other
okay.
guy.
Totally. The one, and then there's an insane version of
Oh my
Picard on the
gosh!
ship.
Wow, it's one of those.
Okay, that's cool actually, because like, yeah, as far as I know, only in that one episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
His name
I
was
just pulled it up on
Isak.
Memory Alpha.
Mhm.
And he was threatening to eat the bullion, I guess. Was there a bullion in there? Was that the blue guy?
Yeah, that was the other alien. It was
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm like that is a little. It's been a while since I watched that episode, so it's been a deep cut. And then I kind of always will remember the insane stuff Patrick Stewart's doing, pretending to be the fake Picard. like,
I remember thinking that alien was pretty scary when I first saw it,
oh, definitely.
like in the 90s.
I'll say, especially when it threatens to eat a guy. That's usually
Dude,
that's
it's
usually
like,
a way. That's like a quick way to show that this guy is like not
So,
on the level.
it's like those
maybe-
super gnarly teeth, those
Mhm.
teeth that
If
look like
he-
they
if
could
that
just
was-
like a
rip
bolt-
and
like a
tear,
boar.
If that one threatened to eat a guy, maybe he thought the Bonze really was their son.
That was a negotiating tactic.
You're like, oh, I'm gonna eat this baby.
I also love that he was like, I would like the mist, and then drinks it like water.
Yeah, I caught that too.
Yeah. And I was like, just water, my dude. They're just misting it with water.
What was the other thing he said? Like that was my southern accent because he's from
Yeah.
south of whatever his planet is. Which I thought was
It
great.
reminds me of.
That was so great.
It reminds me of Doctor Who when someone was like, "Why do you sound northern?" He's like, all planets have a north."
But yeah, the episode overall was really great. I'm not ever really disappointed in a Lower Decks episode. I think to be disappointed in a Lower Decks episode, I'd have to be going in with unrealistic expectations of what Lower Decks is.
I think that's totally fair. Like I said, I really enjoyed this episode. I need to get 2 other people to do a girl trip cosplay with me if I'm doing this is my Tendi. Maybe someone could be Erica. I love the Erica as a name.
Yeah,
It definitely sounds like they heard a human name. It's like, let's make it our own.
Yeah.
To Erica.
Like,
I want to be DeSohale.
what was
DeHale.
her dad's name was good, and I can't remember exactly what it was.
Bert.
Yeah,
It's Bert.
Bert. Yeah.
But B apostrophe RT, I think,
Yeah.
like Bert.
Yeah, I was complaining.
And Shona, Mom Shona, right? What were you
Before
saying?
you guys came on, I was complaining to Rachel that I didn't enjoy it because I don't enjoy a story about a person who has everything. And
I
I felt
I
like
get-
it just kind of like lost me early. It's like, oh, like it's like, these women in this club, they're like Paris Hilton. I'm like, I'm not interested in this, dude. Like, I don't know. I feel like I didn't I just so I judge Lower Decks on if I think it's fun or not. Like, did it get any laughs from me? And I feel like I didn't laugh in this and like, I don't know. I just feel like I just didn't like enjoy that.
None of the
Yeah.
stuff like the Orion Club,
Yeah.
the slit throat or the the
Yeah, that was-
bondage or any of that? Like none of that
Mm.
made you.
Not
Oh, wow.
even Mariner getting the daggers in the shoulder. You
I
know,
appreciated
Really?
how.
I think that
Wow.
See, I thought that
sometimes
was
a show
funny.
like
Yeah.
loses you early.
All right.
Like
See, I
so,
don't
I
even see. I would argue that I don't think that Tendi actually has everything though, because it's like on the like the surface level, it seems like she has everything, but it's like money doesn't buy happiness. She just want like it's like we decided what you have to be, and like you don't actually have a choice in it.
Also, I
I
think it's.
really.
Mhm.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that I really liked the line "You abandoned me for science."
Mhm.
mm, I mean, who doesn't want to be an heiress, dude? Like
A lot of
literally
people.
everybody. Like
I'm sorry. Aaron. What do you mean you were proud of party Paris Hilton? I have many questions. Actually,
Sometimes you just have a run in with Paris Hilton. Just what happens.
I did like I liked her like old high school friend because it kind of reminded me of just like would you run into someone you haven't seen her in a while and you're like this is awkward but also like I guess we don't hate each other but like eh
Also, the kill bug
Oh, yeah.
bar game
yeah
was just absolute nonsense.
Mhm.
Because I was like, why is she playing this with her? If she dies, if either of them die, she doesn't get the information. Then she put the
Mhm.
cub over the bug. But
I'm
was,
supposed to put this way for Cass, the animated series. There we go. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Braxton, I'm curious though, like, because like you said like you don't what is it like rich girl stories? So you don't
yeah,
like
like I don't stories about
Clueless?
people who have like everything. It's like I just think that it's not really that interesting.
Oh, what about rich boy stories? You also don't like those, right?
I mean, it might depend on what it is, but
Oh,
this one didn't grab me though. This
Mhm.
one didn't
okay.
grab me.
Interesting. I thought I was just I thought maybe this could save it and raise your rating a little bit, but I thought it was cool how like she was actually trying to like get away from all that. It seems like
Mhm.
Tendi's the kind of person who grew up with this like immense privilege and this like like this gaudiness and all that, and it just didn't vibe with her. And what the Federation represents, like you don't see that kind of stuff like in Federation, like in most of the
Yeah.
Federation stuff. Chateau Picard, I know, but it's also still just like a house. Like it's not really like
Mhm.
there's not like some crazy golden gates around it and all that stuff. And it's certainly small by Tendi's mansion, like whatever that like Palace of Versailles that she grew up in, type place.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I like the idea that of that, and then it has another layer. What I like about Tendi and just Lower Decks in general is that like they're really good at like adding these layers that make it so relatable and real. I feel like even though obviously we're watching these animated cartoons. I don't think it's right to call them cartoons, but animated like characters. To me they sometimes feel like more relatable than sometimes live action characters. And and so with Tendi, I'm not a rich person, by the way, so
Mhm.
I'm not trying to say I relate to her on that level. But what I liked is that on top of like she has this immense confidence, these pirate skills, she's a trained assassin, but she tries to downplay that because what she truly loves is science. But then on top of that, like she's not just like a perfect like enthusiastic person about science. She also has flaws. Like she's embarrassed about the Orion culture, and she lies constantly in this episode and downplays like what the Orion culture actually is, so that Talin's report would look a certain way. And I thought that was cool that Talin like tossed the report out at the end,
Mhm.
because that was also the right thing to do. But I do think that Tendi's got work to do, and I like that. I like that she's like, she's got this like thing. And also we're as the audience, we're Tendi, because we've had this like stereotype of Orions all our Star Trek lives, of like that they're pirates and that they're like
Mhm.
very sexual, and that they're very like with the pheromones and like the all that stuff. And I think with Tendi and this episode and further, that we're going to see them more as a like like as a real whole species. And I'm excited because, as Mark Twain said earlier, like we know a lot about the Romulans and the Klingons, but like Tellarites, nada. I mean, shout out to Larry Nemeczek. We got very little on Tellarites. Jankum, thank goodness, but he's like he's like a different kind of tell, right? But like, we're starting with the newer shows to learn more about these other species, and I love that. I'm here for it. I'm like, let's put the Klingons and the Romulans, well, maybe not the Romulans, but the Klingons to rest for a while and focus on some other species.
Do you
Um,
remember if there are other Orion females that don't have pheromones like Tendi, or is she like the only one? Because I was wondering how not having the pheromones makes
from
her
Discovery?
different.
I think the pheromones were introduced in Enterprise.
Yeah.
Before that,
the villain Discovery, at least they don't mention pheromones, I don't think.
there was something. I think the pheromones was a way to explain like the kind of like, maybe that trope of like men gawking at beautiful women and they can't control themselves, like um to kind of like do that bit but then have a scientific explanation about it. So I kind of like that Tendi is a non-pheromone Orion, and that it's a variety, that kind of thing too.
So Hill, you made me think about this though when you were talking about like kind of how we got to learn more about the Orion culture. I had noted this when I was watching it, but forgot until just now. I never want to hear the phrase "hopped up on the stink" ever again.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry to make people have to hear that, but when I heard that, I was like, "Oh no, please no!"
Like, yeah, that reaction, but in a funny way. I was just like, "Oh my!" Like, okay. Also, I know everyone has been comparing that the woman who with the pheromones. I don't remember what her club was called.
Oh, that was I don't know if we know the name of it, but yeah.
To Ursula, but I feel like she actually looks more like Morgana, Ursula's sister from the like straight to DVD little.
Oh my gosh!
The sea.
Yes, yes.
And I feel like I brought that up to someone, and someone was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And I was like,
"Wait, are we just calling her to Ursula because she's very much like Ursula, or is that her name in the episode?"
I feel like they cannot have actually called her to Ursula, right?
Yeah, I don't think that, but I love that. I think she
we definitely should call her to Ursula.
That's funny.
I love that.
Rachel and I are twinning.
Yes.
Sorry. I just noticed your green lipstick.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
I could try looking up her name real quick.
That's what I was trying to look up right now, real quick, but I'm not having any luck. Also,
Braxton, while I was changing, I heard you saying that you didn't catch that they were Orions in the beginning. I have to admit that the first time I was kind of like a little confused too, because I was like just shocked about I got shocked when I saw the ship getting destroyed or whatever, and then I was like, oh wait, but they are Orions, because the whole episode was about Orions. And by the way, there's a new video that Drawn to Trek, who our friend Aaron Harvey, Geek Filter in the audience, put out like a little short explaining, kind of showing a comparison between the Orion ship that we saw in the beginning of this episode and the one from the animated series. It's nice to see that someone's celebrating the animated series, because the official Star Trek may not be doing it as well as we would hope. But yeah, that was pretty cool. So that's up live now on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I think I'm pretty sure it is.
But don't go watch it yet. Stay here. Don't stay with it. I think. I was gonna say, I think we can give the audience an exclusive here. Ingrita. Okay, cool. Thanks, RC Feller. Oh, that's you. You're twinning too with the chat.
I'm a chat person. It's like every video call I'm in, I'm like, I'll just update the chat so I don't have to interrupt anybody.
That's my automatic radio host days of reading the name of the caller.
Thanks for. I do stand by that she looks more like Morgana, but I don't know how to prove that to you on this call. So.
Also, I have a prediction for Lower Decks season, because I'm fairly certain that T'Lyn, her ship that she was on, because she appeared first in an episode where she was on a Lower Decks of a Vulcan ship, right?
Yep.
But that ship was not like destroyed or anything like that, right?
Nope.
I'm like 99% certain.
Her.
Yeah. I have a feeling that ship is going to show up as a target of the floating space
I
cube.
feel like you're right.
I feel like
I
that's how we'll
also-
finally tie it in. I've also been
I-
really loving getting to see all of the other cultures' lower decks.
Yeah, that I think that's been really fun. I like want to go back to that. Like, I think it'd be really fun to see that ship also, like, because I'd love to see, everyone on the Cerritos react to the way what they think of Talin, and they're like, "What the hell are they talking about?" Talin's like very Vulcan. And also Mark Evan Jackson was like on that ship, and I love him, so I would like him to see him return. Like, he
I
was
wrote
a
all
voice
the
actor on the ship.
I did write all the Talin things that I loved. Celebrating the lack of purpose is illogical.
Yeah.
Their emotional closeness is unpleasant. I like that one.
That one really stuck with me.
Yeah.
An unexpected gravitas for someone so excitable. I felt attacked.
Yeah.
When I was like,
Same.
I'm excited.
I 100% agreed with that assessment though. Like when she said that, I was like, yeah, like
it's
what?
true. That's true. She's accurate. Talin's the bomb. Like Talin's my husband.
It's like the John Mulaney joke. Where it's like, I think it's about 8th grade. But it's like, they'll roast you, but in an accurate way. Like,
I did like I wrote Tendi's line. I don't care what you think. Just what you know. I like that part before she did the thing. And also, I love being soft. I'm gonna print a sticker that says "I love being soft." I think those were all the Talin ones that I wrote. Let me see. I have a few other little scribbles, but I can't read when I'm writing and like in a hurry or just like
terrible handwriting.
I have terrible handwriting, and sometimes my thoughts get lost. Whoa, what is that Tex-Trek with the weird symbol there?
It's posting to Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube.
Twitch.
Oh, how cool!
But Father, do you want to show the clip?
Drawn to Trek Gornegg is decidedly green. What's a Gornegg? It's an Easter egg, in-joke, or continuity connection we feel is worth pointing out. Did you know that the design of the Orion ship from Lower Decks, Something Borrowed, Something Green, can be traced back 50 years to the animated series? The ship is an evolution from the first one seen in the animated series episode, The Pirates of Orion. In fact, if you squish the TAS-era ship, you get something closer to its modern equivalent. The interior is similar as well. Check out that distinctive pink captain's chair. For more Gorneggs, tune in to Drawn to Trek. We're live every Friday at 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific, or listen to the audio version every Monday where you get your podcasts.
That was really cool. Yeah, I really do love pink chairs.
No way,
Oh.
Rachel.
You know, it was the red
What?
lighting that was throwing me off on the ship. I couldn't see that they were green because of the red lighting. The red lighting like made them look like tan to me or something.
That's fair.
Oh, that's interesting.
Also, so me and Rachel had a conversation recently with our other friends where we all did handwriting tests to show how bad our
Yeah.
handwritings are compared to like one of our friends who has
apparently.
amazingly excellent handwriting. Unfortunately,
Oh, wow.
I say unfortunately because I'm jealous.
My handwriting is so bad. I got accommodations to have extra time on the writing part of the SATs.
Oh.
That is the context you need for my handwriting. It is, oh no, like bad.
That's brave though, Rachel. I would have rather just failed.
What did you guys what were the funniest parts? Well, Braxton, you found none of it fun. I'm so baffled. Sorry. I
You laughed at some of the comments we've made about Talin's comments.
Yeah,
It's true.
Dude, I loved Talin. I thought she was
See?
great. Like
That all of us, like, you're not allowed to not like Talin. That's the
yeah.
Did we talk about like the ship that's destroying all, that thing did we already talk about it this episode?
A little bit, but like I have like no even theories about what it is or how it connects to anything. I just really want to see more. The only way I can see it getting tied into the Cerritos story is, aside from it just running into it, would be as if it went after Talin's old ship. That's
I'm trying
that's my prediction.
I feel like every season does have like some kind of mystery, but is this the first like mystery box, like an object that's like a thing?
I feel like it is for Lower
Yeah.
Decks.
Feels like it's the first like the first big like it's a potential season-long story arc. I mean, I don't know,
Yeah.
or at least I don't know if it's gonna be the whole season.
I
How
mean,
many
maybe the-
episodes is it gonna be? 10? 10
10,
episodes?
right?
Maybe the Packlids a little bit, but like we like knew
Right.
it was the Packlids for like all of that.
Yeah, yeah. This is definitely the first.
Yeah, like
this is the hatch from Lost. You know.
Mhm.
I'm not complaining. I'm really enjoying this season, but I was really hoping the Breen would be more of a thing this
Mhm.
season. So I'm hoping they come along at some point,
Mhm.
maybe in the future.
I feel like
The
if
Breen?
I feel like if the Breen
Didn't they
show-
appear last season? They were great. They were just like so weird.
I feel like if the Breen show up in a significant way, Mariner has to make a joke about the fact that they're called thoughts, right? Like, how do you not? I don't like.
I didn't
God,
know.
thought. Like,
That's pretty funny.
I don't.
I'm sure Mariner will do something
Yeah.
like that.
Wait,
I love
Are the
that.
Breen the ones that have the Star Trek helmets?
Yeah, the Star
Yes.
Wars.
Or, I
the
mean, Star Wars
helmets,
helmets,
Yeah.
I mean.
like
Yes,
the ones
they
Leia
are.
had.
They're
Yeah,
like
they
equivalent of like I think a captain is thought THOT as in like that hoe over
Yeah.
there. Like
What?
Ah, for the people in the back who didn't know what thought meant.
yeah, which is just always bizarre. To
Oh, we were
me.
just talking. I thought we were just talking about thinking.
Yeah,
I knew what you were talking about because I might be a thought.
so do we? I mean, it could be Badgie. I think Badgie is the best bet on the mystery.
Oh God,
box.
Badgie.
Well, a
I
lot of
also-
people are going with it's going to be a like a Badgie plus what were the other ones? Agamus,
Peanut-
right?
Yeah, and Peanut Hamper.
Peanut
And- oh,
Hamper's on thinking.
that's what Aaron's saying right now.
Yeah.
Remember, Agamus was on the poster, and Badgie is coming back. That's right. And yeah, Peanut Hamper might be involved, and maybe someone else.
This
And
is
then
also
I
a
heard-
good theory.
the
Yeah.
whale probe in the intro is the clue. Oh,
I didn't really take notice of that, so yeah, I can see that being related.
Mhm.
I thought they threw that in there because like every season they've been doing like a reference to the like corresponding Star Trek film that like so motion picture poster for one. For
So
part
see-
2 they did like a Star Trek 2 poster reference, Star Trek 3 poster reference. But now that I'm thinking about it, I have to go back and look at the openings of the previous seasons. This is the first time we've seen
Yeah.
that reference in
in the
the
opening. They also
thing.
DT in the comments makes a good point about the ship though. About that it didn't really stop until hailed.
That's true.
Mm,
They hailed it?
yeah.
Yeah, because they told it like lower. Basically, you're gonna be pirated. Was basically
Yeah.
what they said.
Like we're coming.
You know,
up
'cause
north,
they're
we're taking
Orions.
your stuff. Like
Yeah, that's interesting. And someone on Twitter had I'm sorry if I can't remember. If you're in the audience, point it out. But but someone had suggested that they were thinking that maybe the ships aren't being destroyed, but they're being like digitized or somehow like put into another dimension or something that like
or the ships are being destroyed, but the people are not.
yeah,
are not.
That
Yeah,
young
something like
lady
that.
did scream, and
yeah. I would say
maybe
they looked like they were in pain. This episode.
yeah, like she screamed like she was in pain. So I don't know. Like I
Mhm.
thought that maybe it was. I was
Because
thinking
I
that.
feel
Well,
maybe
but
like-
like I mean, if you see
Listen,
this like
I feel
weird.
like maybe Geek Filter was one of the people that was saying that. And I don't
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's probably. I'm sorry. Like as a Star Trek person, I like get so much information from everywhere that I
Oh,
always.
same.
Yeah, it's like sorry. Like I'm like who said that? I love it, but it wasn't me. I know it wasn't
Yeah.
me. It was someone else, but it wasn't me. That's cool. That's awesome. So tomorrow on Tex-Trek, they're going to dive deeper into that. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Mm.
This is true.
Yeah,
Here on
that's
Tex-Trek.
what I was thinking. I was trying to think about how to say it. I was like, no matter what's being done, like if they're being forcibly, what's the word? They have
I would say
like the
being
really
di-
long range
I
transporting.
would
What's
say-
it called?
Okay,
Oh,
being
yeah.
being digitized does lend itself to being badgy.
You're right. Or a
Oh.
general digital enemy.
And you would need a lot of space to house like a gigantic like holographic world or whatever. So like
Yeah.
maybe interesting.
I feel like
We're
Now
piecing it
now
together.
now we're being Sherlock Holmes. We're like, "Well, how are we gonna get it?"
All right, everyone, enter your mind palace quickly.
Twin Holmes. Yes, exactly. I love that. Nice reference to Sherlock. Star Trek Tron.
That would be fun.
That's awesome. Let's see. The other thing I put down that I loved about I just love Orions now. I want to be an I liked Andorians before, and now I want to be an Orion even more. I think I'm a Ryzen in my Tex-Trek picture. I think I'm from Risa, like Tarka, because I think Disco was doing that season or whatever,
Yeah.
season 4 with Tarka and all that stuff. So I like that, and that's another example of a people that we didn't know anything about, and through Tarka we learned a lot. Modern Star Trek's kicking ass for me. I really like it. It's good.
I do love them being like, hey, let's like flesh out these like places that we don't know a lot about.
Yeah. Rigelians too. We got a little bit more of Rigel in Strange New Worlds. It's actually come to think of it, like, yeah, it's happening, and that's why it's so satisfying, I think, for me, is because in a way the Star Trek universe, as it's being called now, is that it's opening up into a bigger thing. By the way, did the strike actually get announced as ending? Do we know?
I haven't heard anything. I'll
Me
real
either.
quick.
Because they're negotiating into the night, and I think Kirk Acevedo, who played, speaking of Vulcans, the Vulcan mobster in he tweeted earlier that a little birdie told him that the strikes were probably going to be over today. So we'll see. I think the writers got their deal, and next is the actors.
That's good.
That would be great.
It would be cause for celebration.
Love for them to get paid what they're owed.
Exactly. And then we can start kind of, it's, one thing that I've really missed on, Star Trek socials is that, like, when the performers talking about their own things, like, and also like the writers and the actor, and the director, everyone involved goes on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, wherever, and they share, like Dave Blass shares like all of his stuff, and all that. So it's cool now that, like, we'll be able to get that stuff again, and that our writers will be able to make careers, hopefully, and get insurance, and, like, and our actors too, it's really eye-opening.
Be able to work in writers' rooms so they can, like, have a beginning part of their career and, like, learn how to do their job on the job, like how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
Hollywood really touts this, like, kind of glamorous kind of picture of, like, and it kind of, like, makes people forget that there's a lot of folks supporting that, glamour and glitz, and that they're not all millionaires, like, it's, and like,
there's a reason all the actors you like do commercials,
right,
or like do advertisings and like brand deals, because they're not making as much making movies and TV shows as you think they are, or as
I think some of them are, but most of them are not.
Some of them are, but it's a lot of them that people are like the star of a CW show isn't making as much as you think, kind of thing.
I was just gonna say, like, my first thought was Daniel Craig doing those vodka ads. I was like, he's probably doing that because he wants to.
That's fair.
He also just looked like he was having a ton of fun dancing in the ad, but that's separate.
I'm glad he's having a good time. But I'm thinking, like, because I've seen people talk about, like, an actress who was Adeline Kane, who's in last season of Strange New Worlds as well. But she was like, she's like, here's the breakdown. I have to pay my agent, makeup artist, this, that. And so this is what I take home, and that's before taxes, and, like...
Oh, I would have never thought of them having to pay their own makeup artists.
Yep. Not like on not like for like not on like a TV show.
Oh, okay.
But like when they
go to events and stuff.
Go to events, which is part of the job too.
Right. Yeah,
like,
I just mean
going to like a red carpet is like part of the job, and
true.
And if you don't look well, people make fun of you on the internet and in magazines. So. And I'll say, although sometimes people of color do have to pay their own hair people for on sets because they don't have it like, which is the
Oh, I didn't
thing.
know that.
Because they hire one person and that person doesn't know how to do like different kinds of hair.
I've been contributing to the if you don't mind me shouting out a little more on that platform,
Yeah.
but I've been contributing to the fund to help actors and writers. There's like different ones, so not a lot, a little bit every week, because you can go on like a plan and stuff like that. But I know that a lot of people are doing it, and that's the cool thing about crowdfunding and the
Yeah.
era that we live in. So actually, there's a lot of good stories about the about that if the strike did need to continue, that I think it could. And I think the real people that are hurting are the studios, and I hope they understand that, like, who they're actually serving, and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
who's actually creating the work that they're benefiting off of and stuff like that. So I hope this like sets things straight, because it was really kind of repulsive and appalling. I mean, like, there's so many examples of this, but just how disconnected, like, the executives are. And like, I really, I want everything to be amicable. My personality leans towards diplomacy and things like that. But after the thing that got leaked about like the executive, the verified, I think it was verified too, but the thing that the executive was saying about like how our plan is to starve them out and make them lose their homes and all that stuff, like, if anyone did lose their home, or lively, or this affected that, I think there needs to be like action against the studios afterwards, because that to me, sorry to get all lawyery here, but that to me is proof that they wanted to like hurt people in a way that could like kill them. Oh, sorry, I don't think you can say that, but you know what I mean, like hurt them in a bad way. Like, it's terrible. So I think there needs to be some kind of like compensation for people who did actually, suffer greatly through this strike.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it
like a lot of compensation, from the pockets of the top CEOs
like
themselves.
Like, you remember when you made movies in the 80s and 90s and all the villains were like execs who didn't spend enough time with their kids? I was like, you're acting worse than that right now. Like, you were being your own villain.
Terrible.
Listen, I can talk all day about what should or shouldn't happen to boardroom executives and hedge fund managers, but
it's just like it's like I remember in history class, like reading the stuff about the robber barons and like the and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, we would never do that again. Like, everyone learned from that. Like, humanity, no. It's terrible. Let them eat cake. What? They can't afford cake. Right on. Do you think they're gonna go over the Gornegs in detail tomorrow? But do you think the Orion aquifers, they have like their own bottled Orion water that they like also sell like for like, like, could you get like why would Tillin mention the aquifers? I feel like they're famous around the
maybe. That would be,
I would like to buy some of the Orion mist.
I know. Orion Hills. That would be very cool. I don't know what else do we have to say about this episode. I feel like I went through my notes. Let me see. I could go on and on about Boimler and Rutherford if you like, or Brotherford.
You're only allowed to do that in the voice.
Well, there's also the Mozart thing at the end that they do. But no, I really thought it was funny, even though it was all like, it escalated into like madness. But in the beginning, when they first like were showing their roommate relationship, I was like, I wish I could get like a roommate like this, like a friend. And they were like genuinely like kind to each other and like supportive and stuff like that, until the watering thing happened, which is why it's so hilarious. It's because like, you think it's this like perfect Brotherford relationship, but then it ends up being like, totally crazy. And then I love that their solution was to do the Mark Twain stuff, of course, because that was just like the best gag in a long time. But also,
I feel like
go
that,
ahead.
and then I remember I didn't actually like living with like a roommate in the room. So I was like, I liked her. I was just like, I need some goddamn space. I also lived in a tiny ass dorm room, and there was no way to get privacy at all.
It all depends on the
were you housemates
situation.
or roommates?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I couldn't do that. No.
Yeah.
Because
I
they're
could totally
roomies
do-
in
I could
this for
totally
sure.
do
Yeah.
house
Oh yeah. I just
I
want to
could
be clear.
even like share if like I think I could even do like if maybe we had like one bedroom, like I should share a bedroom, but we actually had like a fucking living room to go to or like something.
Right.
American dorm rooms are hell. I don't like.
I recently said, because I live with 3 other people, and I recently said to my coworkers, because I work from home, I said, yeah, I need my living situation to change to either be less people or more bathroom, because it's 4 people, 1 bathroom.
Well, that's what I think. Like roommate situations nowadays are rarer. Maybe not like maybe in dense cities like New York and like you might have like the roommate situation like what Rutherford and Boimler were, which their beds were in the
Right.
same room.
Oh, that's super
But like,
common in some
but I
places.
think I always think of roommates as like sharing a house. Like not,
right, exactly.
So-
That's why I
I
was
never-
curious
yeah,
about
yeah,
what Rachel
yeah,
meant.
it's like
No,
yeah.
I meant also she was a nice person. She snored really loudly, and like, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe brings a good point. I was
don't like-
giving a little too much harshness to the Boimler Rutherford story earlier,
I
and just
also-
like it's funny for this type of
Yeah.
show.
And I don't think it's weird that they're sharing a room in Star Trek. We've seen that before.
Yeah.
They were sharing a hallway before.
Yeah,
So.
they were sure they were better than sleeping in a hallway. I think that also sounds like hell to me. Like,
I mean, I guess
Hallmates.
right because it was a hallway, right? Because they could
Yeah.
keep going. It wasn't like it didn't end at their room. They were like
Yeah.
a T junction.
yeah, they were sleeping in a thoroughfare. Like,
Yeah. Presumably, all the lower decks are.
Yeah.
Which I guess in this military, not military thing could kind of make sense.
Yeah.
That was the first time we saw that kind of arrangement, but we've seen definitely bunks before,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
rooms with like several bunks, like in I think in like Star Trek 6, like on
But
the Excelsior and stuff like that.
It's interesting though because I feel like everyone on Voyager had their own room, right?
yes, but also a lot of people on Voyager died when they went like across that thing. So I think they had extra rooms.
Everyone
You're
on
probably
Enterprise
right.
D definitely.
I guess we also don't know if they were set to full
yeah.
capacity when they were
Yeah.
sent on that voyage on
One,
that
I
mission
don't
either.
think they were, which is why the entire medical staff died because I don't think there were that many of them.
Valjean
One of
just
the-
couldn't be easy to catch.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. Enterprise D oil or watercolor?
Oh,
Watercolor.
I'm gonna go oil for the texture.
And what did you say, Braxton?
Watercolor.
I've never seen a watercolor Enterprise D. If you guys find one on
I'll
Pinterest,
tell
you
you
can
about-
at me.
oh,
Yeah, like,
yeah.
it's like.
But
I think it'd be nice because if you do watercolor right, you can get also like the watery,
Ooh,
that's
true.
like text the weird watery thing that happens. So
You were saying everyone in the Enterprise D had their own room, but I think in the episode Lower Decks,
were they sharing rooms?
They were implied to be room. I don't like they said something about being roommates. I don't.
Then it's
The
by choice
Vulcan-
because like it's
the
insane how
Vulcan-
much space is on the Enterprise D. Like
It's-
that's,
Yeah,
that's like
The,
it's like,
Well, I mean, it could be kind of like what happened with Rutherford and Boimler, right? Like they got a room because they got to have their own room, and it's like a nicer, location or something.
yeah.
So maybe there's
yeah.
not enough
So-
space on the Enterprise
well, I
even
will
for
say-
everyone to
okay,
have
so
their
it's-
own room.
I can't remember either of their names right now, especially because it's the same Vulcan, the same person playing a Vulcan in Voyager, and he has a slightly different name.
Should have given them. They should have made it the same. They should have made it the same Vulcan. They're cowards for not keeping that continuity.
They were implied to be twins. They are related.
Cowards. That's coward writing.
I like it.
It's not the worst thing.
Actually, he's also an executive. Like he's also like a producer's son, so that's probably the more. But they say something about, and they say, "Oh, I want a promotion because I want to get my own room." And then he says, like, and then the Vulcan is like, if you're that unhappy with the rooming arrangement or something, like, Vulcan-y about it. I haven't watched that episode in a while, so this is just my memory of trying to piece
I think
together-
you're right though, because that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Joel, it is not a oil wrestling question, but I do enjoy oil wrestling. What is it, like Greek or something?
Yeah.
No, it's like Turkish oil wrestling, I believe, if I'm not
Let's go.
mistaken.
I think Vorik is the one on Voyager, right? And Toric is the one
I believe you're correct.
on
On-
TNG.
Okay.
Yes. I liked Warwick on Voyager. Like, I liked him. But I remember being like, that is the same guy, except not. Like,
Yeah, I'm just saying, Torque only appeared for one episode. There would have been nothing wrong with saying that he was also on the Enterprise.
oh, it was 100%. It would have been for character payments. The reason Tom Paris is not.
Oh, well, you know what? I don't always think. I don't always think from the business side of things. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
I love when I love to further, they're just kind of like when Captain Freeman does the Twain voice, and she's like so like uncomfortable with it, and like she's just like, "What the hell am I doing?"
I just
But,
I wish we would have gotten even just a moment of the like it was a good cut to just jump right to it, but I wish we would have had a moment of the explanation.
I wish I could see the booth of the recording, like if there's video of the recording of
I
like.
would love to see. I know there probably isn't, because I think a lot of, especially after the pandemic, a lot of the lower deck stuff is recorded like in people's homes.
Oh,
Uh,
I didn't know
oh, that's right. They're still
Or,
doing that. I feel like you're right.
Like,
You're right.
I
Yeah.
bet they kept doing it. I believe people go on, like, if they're a lot of them are actors who also were doing live action stuff. So if they're like on location, because I remember a story. Apparently, Jack Quaid had someone check on him because he was doing Boimler's yells in his hotel room.
Oh, that's right. He did say that. That's right. I remember that.
amazing.
And then he had to explain that he was an actor and he was doing voice work.
Yeah, that old excuse.
The aphorisms that they wrote were like really clever. Like I liked "A house divided in twain cannot stand." It was like
Amazing. No notes.
I'm gonna go rewatch the episode right now. Just like,
what else? I'm but a crumb on the biscuit of your wit, sir. Which, by the way, is the title of the salon, which is going to go on in like
that's a good title.
in a little under 30 minutes. It's pretty funny. I'm really glad that Tom Paris was not Nick Locarno. I never would have liked Nick for 7 years. Yeah,
That is true. Nick straight up like tried to cover up someone's death. Like,
but how'd they explain that one?
Yeah.
How did they explain? Yeah, Tom was in prison.
Tom was in prison for being a Maquis. Like,
Thomas, wait, all right, we're gonna say we can't just say that he's just a Maquis when they are literally like the terrorists of that era of TNG.
I would explain it as Tom Paris had a transporter accident that he didn't know about, and this guy Nick Locarno, and then the other Tom Paris decided to be Nick Locarno, and it was when he was a kid.
Bring back,
There's definitely at one point, you see Admiral Paris and he has a picture of Tom on his desk, except it's not. He has a picture of Nick. He has a picture for that TNG episode as a picture of Nick.
Amazing. I need to bring back William Riker. Now that I'm thinking about transporter accidents.
Yeah. When do you think the first Triple Threat girls trip cosplay will appear? What's the next convention?
What is the next convention? I don't know.
I was like, don't you also need people to do that with you?
Yeah, I need two more people to like come down here to Austin and we can jump in. I don't know. I guess I feel like it's definitely gonna be a thing at Vegas. The problem is like Tendi. It seems so easy. I was like, oh, but goddamn it, you have to be green.
It's not easy being green.
It's not. That is correct. It is not easy being green, as Tendi has proven. Oh my gosh, that's genius.
I do actually prefer them being separate people for the reason that Jill states that I think Nick's like. I think you just see a little bit too much of Nick as being a bad guy to like make him like redeemable, whereas like Tom is more of a lovable rogue. I would say like yeah, he was the Maquis, but so was half the show, like half the cast. That show.
True. Also, I just had a thought.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had an episode where the Lower Decks animated people get to be live action.
Yes.
I want an episode where all the Lower Decks people are Muppets.
Oh my gosh. Yes, please. That's how we get the Muppet Star Trek. Oh my
Insane.
gosh.
I want it. I want a
I'm
Muppet version
I'm
of the
so
ship.
here for it.
I
That is
want a
the
Muppet
best thing
version of the
ever.
ship.
I don't care if they even just go with they're on drugs as the reason that everybody appears as a Muppet.
I
Like,
don't
that's
care if it's
sufficient
one
for me.
scene, if it's too expensive.
Yeah.
But
Oh my
like,
gosh.
someone.
I just want, because you said not easy being green, and then my brain went to Tendi, and I was like, what about a Tendi Muppet? I was like, what about everyone as Muppets?
It would be so much easier if they were like a WB thing, because like HBO kind of weirdly has Sesame Street, but also Sesame Street is PBS.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
very
yeah.
weird.
To be clear, I don't need them to actually be like, I don't need to interact with Kermit or anything like that,
No,
or with
Right,
Sesame
but they
Street
could
or-
just be I guess Muppet is
I want them to be
them, but, like
puppets.
they're just puppets, yeah. Or
Yeah, you want them to be
if Angel could do it back in 2004, where the main character could be a Muppet for a whole episode in live action.
Such a fucking insane episode. I don't like. I
Oh,
love
there
that episode.
this has already been done on TV. See, I've never seen Angel. I didn't realize
Angel,
that.
I mean, from my, I only remember the episode very vaguely, but it was just him as a puppet, right? The rest of the cast was still
Yes.
humans or flesh. I don't know.
I am I found out I discovered that I have I'm a savant for puppeteering.
Ooh.
Awesome. I have had on Etsy. There's a thing on Etsy to get your own custom Muppet, and I've had it saved for forever. It's like $300, so that's why it's like not a. But it's like I thought about just getting a Muppet version of myself to do things with. I don't know. There's got to be a video idea there somewhere.
I feel like when I'm too
There's
old to be on
definitely an
camera, I'm gonna
episode
have a
of Glee
Muppet
where they all have
version.
Muppets of themselves.
I think. I figured that's what that's what that's what VTubers will be, right? Like that's like the eventual the end goal of like having a VTuber is like, I don't want to be on camera anymore. I'll just throw this cartoon up.
Oh, true.
Aaron, what? Like, I need to see this drawing.
Drawn as a Muppet that was found among the animated series. Ooh, neat. Yeah, I need to see that too. I love that they had a science thing, even though we didn't get to see it, but an oscillating nebula. So that, like it like that, and I love that the whole impetus behind Captain Freeman, going back to that for a second, even agreeing to the Twain thing was that she really wanted to complete. I love that. See, again, that was like another. This is sorry, I didn't mean to hit. I hit that by accident, or maybe Rachel did. I'm sorry, but my hands move a lot when I talk, and then I hit things. It's like sorry, but I do love that. Like I think the thing that folks who are averse to animated Star Trek are missing out on is how much like cool Star Trek stuff there is in animated Star Trek. It's very Star Trek to the core. Despite the addition of or the difference of the story being told through a humorous, kind of lens instead of like the normal serious dramatic tone that we're used to. So I think Larry Nemeczek I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but he did a cool cool video he released today about wanting Star Trek allowing Star Trek to kind of grow up. And I think again, I haven't finished the video, but I think what he was suggesting is that maybe there is room for stuff like these awful, very short treks because there is an audience for it. While there are people, while overall there is, but also on top of that, like Aaron Walkey's gonna put one out. I think the next one is his, and he's like a really good, in my opinion, like Star Trek writer. And so I think his is gonna definitely, Oh, sorry, I have to mute the phone because I forgot to close the door and you can hear everything.
This week's very short trek, though, was the best and worst ever.
I agree. See, that's the thing. Like, to me, I found we're not going to talk about it because they're going to talk about it on Drawn to Trek in more detail. But I will just say that I agree. I liked it, but I also was repulsed by it. Like, I hated it. It's so weird. It's like that. It's like when Data took that drink in Star Trek Generations. And he could taste it for the first time, and he's like, "This is awful, but I want more." Like, I'm just like, I have to see what happens next and stuff like that. But I don't know. I am like one of those Star Trek people that not that I love everything, but I always want to see everything Star Trek. Like if you slap Star Trek on it, I have to at least watch it once. And I will only probably watch these once, but that's okay. Like you don't have to watch everything.
A Paramount executive just smiled really big, and they don't know why.
But I did actually unsubscribe from Paramount Plus, and then the writers were saying, no, actually it's better if you stay subscribed. So I went back on. So I will not support the studios. I will give it up. But that's why I buy everything on physical media, which I'm soapboxing tonight a lot. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm agreeing with everything you say so far.
I'm all over the place and soapboxing as I go along. But I guess what I mean to say is that, like, you know, Star Trek for me personally just means so much. It's like my life. So it's like whatever, but that doesn't have to be the case for everyone. You could just like one Star Trek. And that's, I think, what he was trying to say is that, like, all this idea of like, you have to know all of it and all of it has to make sense. It's not letting Star Trek grow up. It's not letting Star Trek branch out, which has always been the intention, in my opinion. Like, you know, that it should, I think Star Trek, as long as it, and again, these very short treks don't apply, and they've even said that it's, you know, they're even saying like this. I think we have to look at these as a bad experiment. But anyways, overall,
these are just gags, right?
Yeah, they're gags, or like, like little bits or whatever. Like, I think we're, in a way, it's good that we're taking them so seriously, but I think that we maybe have to like let them go a little bit and just like
animated blooper reels.
or something like that. Yeah, exactly. But overall, I think Star Trek is doing that really well and trying to, like, Discovery has its own, you know, kind of unique spin and take on Star Trek. And I railed against it, you know, a little bit when it first came out, but now it's one of my favorite Star Trek shows. I'm so looking forward to the season 5. I'm bummed that they're only getting 5 seasons. I have this magic 7-season number attachment of like, oh, it has to have 7 seasons, but actually 5 seasons is a great run.
Especially in this day and age.
Exactly.
Show, 5 seasons is like long.
Yeah. And Lower Decks and everything. So I think I agree with Larry, is that, like, maybe if you don't like it, definitely critique it if that's what, you know, and say something. But like, I think we're just piling and saying like, oh, who's the writer? They're like, you know, like just like this like stuff that happens. And I think it's good to be outraged about a show rather than like, you know, something else. But it's still kind of like, let's let Star Trek blossom and bloom, and you know, like that Leonard Nimoy quote about canon that, you know, people interpret in various ways or use in various ways, about like, let Star Trek kind of, there has to be a little bit of a give and take. Like, I want my Star Trek to be a certain way, but I should also allow Star Trek to take me to places outside my comfort zone, you know. And so I think that's the plan, and that's good. And so kudos to experimenting and trying strange new things.
And I just want to comment kind of on Geek Filter's comment about like Star Trek can't be everything because then it will be nothing. I don't 100% disagree. Like, it can't be everything, but I think there's a very clear direction to me that like they want Star Trek to be a franchise that like can kind of go across various genres. And I think of it when I compare it to like the MCU or comic books, like there is a ton of different genres across what that setting, that continuity can be. And, you know, not all of them, like, you know, for instance, I'm going to use the MCU as the example. Like, we were able to have the Guardians of the Galaxy crossover with the Avengers and it didn't feel out of place. And heck, even in this, we were able to have Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks crossover, but like not everything will need to be able to cross over within that. You know, it's okay if, like, you know, like I said, I if they told me very short treks were canon, then I'd suddenly be like, all right, now I have some different opinions about this. But like, as is, like I said, if they're just gags, it's fine if they just throw things in there. I mean, I haven't liked necessarily all of them. I thought most of them were okay. That's kind of what I thought about those.
Yeah, I feel like I just watched a okay Robot Chicken sketch. I got a laugh, and now I will think about this never again.
Robot Chicken's a very good comparison. Yeah.
And it was like with Lower Decks, I remember when people had the hesitation about Lower Decks, you know, when it was announced and what it would be about and stuff like that. You know, people were afraid that it was going to, you know, mock Star Trek, or like, you know, kind of like what like the complaints about short treks. But I remember like some of the outrage was similar about like, you know, Lower Decks, like it's pushed too far outside of like that like line of believability, if you will. I don't feel that way personally.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely mocks Trek. That's, but like in a way that only makes sense and is fun for people that are into Trek.
Yeah.
As opposed to like the example I will use of the Big Bang Theory, which makes fun of nerds less than really making fun with nerds.
Yeah, Lower Decks feels like, oh, we're laughing together. The Big
We're
Bang
laughing
Theory
together,
feels
and
like
not
you're
only
laughing at
it's
me.
like I think that I don't know if it's something that just doesn't happen anymore, but when I was growing up, and part of Star Trek, liking Star Trek or loving Star Trek, I should say, was making fun of it, because there are a lot of things that are really fun. Oh, sorry, there's a game. There's a game. You might hear my sister shouting when there's like a football thing or whatever. I apologize. I don't know if you can actually hear it in the mic, but I might have it tuned correctly. But anyways, I guess what I was saying is that, like, part of it was like laughing at Star Trek's like less, like some of the funny things or the awkward things that are all like, like Geordi's relationships, things like that, like,
Oh,
and
totally.
stuff like that. And so I think that's what
We
I
were
love
all
about Lower
making
Decks
jokes
is that
about Threshold.
yeah, exactly. That's what I love about Lower Decks is it feels like more of a love for Star Trek than a disdain for it, and like I think these very short treks are more on the disdain side, but I actually do see a little bit of something there, because like the Bev and Riker, again, not going into too much detail because we're talking about Lower Decks here, but just I do see a little nugget of
Also,
something in each of them. Yeah.
way big throwback to have her call him Bill.
I know, that was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I was really thrown off by that for a second.
I was like, okay.
Well, I think I have to get ready for the salon, so I might hop off in a bit. But it was really cool hanging out with you guys. I'm glad to be talking about Lower Decks.
Last observations about the episode before you go?
Yes, I will just say that New Seattle got me excited because I love Seattle. I used to live there. And also that there's hump dungeons in New Seattle was interesting. And that Mariner maybe has been to them is also interesting. This was the most queer episode of Lower Decks. I think in the past, like, Lower Decks has been criticized for not being queer enough, and I don't know. I think it's done a good job of being balanced. Maybe the first season was lacking in queer representation, but I think this episode definitely did a good job of showing a variety of different things in a very like Star Trek kind of manner. Like, it wasn't like like it wasn't like thrown at you because people should be cool with it in the future, but it was also highlighted in a good way to let people like us people here today relate to it and like feel good and like connect to it. So I love that. And then I think the last thing, sorry, I got to say this, hunk of ham steak. There's so many good one-liners. Yeah. A cage shower, like what's that?
Yeah, he is aesthetically.
Aesthetically, I don't.
Yeah,
I didn't write it down.
Yeah, Lower Decks is such a great show. If you guys are not watching, if you're tuned into the stream just for some reason because you're curious about Lower Decks, but you don't actually watch it, go watch it because it's awesome. Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, good night. Thanks, guys. See you on the salon if you're coming onto the salon later. And
see you, Sohail. Hey, good night, Rachel. Good night, RC.
Night, Braxton.
I'll see you.
I guess any last
I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I think it moved. I'm really excited with like what's kind of going on in the background with this little unknown mystery ship. I'm glad we got to learn more about Tendi. The only thing I realized I didn't get to say was I had a little trouble believing T'Lyn would just toss the report just a little bit because she said it would be unethical, and I was like, she asked you. Also, she kind of just asked you to edit it. She didn't ask you to toss the whole thing.
I kind of get it because maybe it would also be unethical to edit it, but it would be like, oh, it's just gone. There's no report.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it makes sense because what the people on the Vulcan ship said T'Lyn's a bit of a emotional maverick, right? So,
I also. Oh, you know what I love that I forgot to mention? The alien who didn't want the Starfleet data because it was too thorough.
Yeah. It's not only is it thorough, but it's nuanced. I thought that was a really good point. And also, the line of why is Starfleet so obsessed with scanning?
To learn stuff.
That fight was very good, and
such a good. Also, I was like, I believe this. Like it was very good. Like the people who wrote this have siblings.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that to me, and I am an only child, so this is unfamiliar. But I was like,
I-
this did not make me feel like I missed out on too much. I'll be honest.
Have you seen the video going around of like it's like a Hispanic family with a
Yeah,
farm,
yeah.
and everyone's like, actually,
Dan sent that to us.
if you
from
don't
the-
have
from the
siblings,
podcast.
watch this.
Yeah, and I watched that, and I went,
Yeah.
"This is chaos." I'm very happy with
Yeah.
my situation.
And I was like,
Um,
actually, yes. Like, I did not have sisters, but they are like, yeah. I was like, it reminded me of like that energy.
But yeah, no, it was a very good episode, and you know what? And I wish I wish Mariner would have had some kind of sling on in the last scene.
That would have been good. I feel like the Dr. Tavana can like fix that up real quick. She only got
Probably.
stabbed a couple times.
The fact that it kept hitting the same spot too was just statistically enjoyable,
At least it was the same spot that apparently didn't make her bleed out.
right?
Like
Didn't go any deeper in or anything.
maybe
Yeah,
they
good
have
show.
like anti-bleed out daggers. They're not actually trying to kill you. They're just trying to make a point.
Or maybe some kind of spray for that hypo spray. I mean, Tendi also just had like some hypo spray stuff on her that she was able to undo the stank.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Yeah,
I
good show, and I enjoyed it. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I really love this episode. I mainly was like, I need to cosplay one of the three of them, and then kind of try to do it.
Oh, Jill, that's absolutely the case. I was saying,
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll have the continuity of We'll See the Scars, but I believe that is her as a character.
And yeah, and make sure you tune in tomorrow for the more deep dive with Fathery and Aaron. And Aaron's been in the comments here. It's always a really fun time. And yeah, thanks for coming on, and thanks for joining us in the comments. And live long and prosper.